geoengineeringwatch.org, www.geoengineering.org. So, apparently, Rhode Island doesn't want to go along with the program when it comes to having stuff sprayed in the air you breathe. I mean, what a bunch of assholes, right? I'm assuming it's this Justin Price guy, right? So this here is a copy of a proposed legislation. I'm just going to read some of this. Just going to read some of this to you. All right, 2017 State of Rhode Island in General Assembly, January session. Okay, relating to the Health and Safety Geoengineering Act of 2017. And of course, it's called an act. You know, they're just, what I'm going to point out is, Representative Justin Price. I'm just going to read off some of the things because the things that they're talking about are already, if they're talking about it, and they're talking about legislation for regulations on it, just listen. Chapter shall be known and may be cited as the Geoengineering Act of 2017. Geoengineering is defined herein as the intentional manipulation of the environment involving nuclear, biological, chemical, electromagnetic, and/or other physical agent activities that affect changes to the Earth's atmosphere and/or surface. The Rhode Island General Assembly finds that geoengineering encompasses many technologies and methods involving hazardous activities that can harm human health and safety. It is therefore the intention of Rhode Island General Assembly regulate all geoengineering activities as further set forth by the terms and provisions of this chapter. Findings of fact. Scope of geoengineering, inclusive of solar radiation management, SRM, and other technologies. Geoengineering activities are diverse and very regular in their characteristics and consequences. It may involve ground-based and/or atmosphere-based deployments, including, without limitation, the use of aircraft, rockets, unmanned aerial vehicles, drones, UAVs, large balloons. Solar radiation management activities require state licensing, include without limitation. And this is why I want to read this stuff right here. Cloud cover production. Aerial releases of water vapor produce man-made cloud cover. Cloud whitening. Sea salt or other particulates injected into clouds make clouds more reflective, after which the salt or other particulates rain out over land areas and freshwater supplies. Salt flare rockets fired into clouds trigger rain downpours containing salt. Space sunshades or sun shields, huge parasol-like devices, reduce the amount of direct sunlight reaching Earth's surface. Solar shields or atmospheric sunscreens, reflective particulates such as sulfur dioxide, aluminum oxide, released into the atmosphere, block sunlight from reaching Earth's surface, after which particulates rain down as pollution. You see where all this shit's heading? Reflective space mesh mirrors, Richie from Boston. Wire mesh mirrors deployed in space reduce the amount of direct sunlight reaching the Earth's surface over small or large areas, depending on their size. Planetary sunshades, largest of the SRM operations, particulates to cover over the whole Earth over time, stripping the ozone layer as much as 76% and reducing the amount of direct sunlight reaching Earth's surface. I like this one. Artificial ionosphere. A sustained high-density plasma cloud, and we've seen these, is produced in Earth's upper atmosphere. Large helium balloons, atmospheric contaminants, rocket emissions, water vapor, a greenhouse gas. Additional geoengineering activities require state licensing, including, without limitation, ocean fertilization by iron or lime seeding, including but not limited to ocean sequestration, which process produce detrimental artificial algae blooms from pollutants in the ocean, re-icing or cooling the Arctic and other areas through artificial means. Ocean cooling pipes. See what I'm saying? If they're talking about it, these things all exist. Why? Weather modification involving the release of sea salt, silver iodide, barium, and or other particulates to enhance rain or snow in one area while reducing the availability of rain or snow in other areas. California, Southern California. And then Vietnam during the war, that place was wet as hell. I know it was monsoon season, but they said it was really wet. Genetically modified CO2 eating plastic trees. Glacier reflecting blanket deployment. Land based and ocean based. All right, so you get the point. All right. Where is it? Consider waste. There was another carbon black, release of soot. All things that they've done. Black chemtrails, right? Atmospheric deployment of radio frequency microwave radiation other than needed for safe aviation deployment, physical agents, unstated, where is it? Aircraft geoengineering. They're telling you they want to regulate, nuclear radiation, biological, transbiologic agent, any chemical substance other than the aircraft's fuel emissions, which are harmful but necessary for flight, chemical mixture such as chaff, I don't know what that is, any electromagnetic radiation. They want all that to be regulated, which means it's all going on now. Shall be subject to regulation. Consequences. Okay, here we go. I'm going to read just a small amount of this because this whole thing is 10 pages long. So just consequences. Documented problems arising from geoengineering activities include, but are not limited to, global dimming, causing reduced vitamin D absorption in humans and animals, reduced photosynthesis, changes in distribution patterns and chemical contents of local rainfall, contamination of air, water, soil, as particulates fall to the Earth's surface, degradation of human, animal, plant health when people and other living organisms exposed to these particulates, other atmospheric contaminants, the acceleration of biodiversity and species losses, especially the loss of endangered and threatened species as identified under the U.S. Endangered Species Act of 1973, each one of which species has intrinsic value as well as human resource value. Less direct sunlight reaching the earth, fewer winter freezes, higher humidity resulting in increased molds, mildews, fungi, and pest problems. So I'm not going to keep going. They talk about acid rain from the clouds. You can get this, right? But I mean, this is what's going on, and besides I mean, it definitely just that would be one way to ensure that you do enough things, even if half of your crew drops out or turns coat on you. It's like these are wheels. I think once they're set in motion, disrupt the food supply or knock it out altogether. I mean, and they intend on going somewhere else. Plus, they got their seed bank. We know they got the seed bank. I mean, how would you get rid of 90% of the people, right? Imagine if it was really this. Imagine if global warming was real and they were really just trying to, all the chemtrailing, everything was just to try to slow down the fact that the this particular death of the earth would be by fire, and it would be because not only do the sun and moon go out and come back in every year, but they're also either moving up or down constantly. And who knows, maybe the sun goes all the way up and for some reason we get a flood. Maybe it goes all the way down and we get, and maybe it comes right down and scorches the ground. I mean, there are things like, certain, craters and just certain things that maybe, if it was looked into, maybe it could suggest that something very, very hot does come from, but maybe it's something that just happens, it's just slowly, I mean, there's just so much that could be speculated about, or that coincides with certain things. How they say that, like things like alligators or whatever, or certain species are like way, way old. Who knows? Maybe there's been a couple of lives and deaths of the earth by exactly that: water and then fire, and then water and then fire. Who knows? We don't know. But they do. They have a better plan. I'm sure it's more easy than that. I'm sure it's just they want a bunch of elbow room. They want everything. And they want us all gone because they really no longer have a need for us. They have everything, and they can take harness of 5% of the world and force them to do what they need. They don't need the rest of us. Peace, guys.